Hey, it's me. Um, oh my gosh, I'm sorry it's so late at night or early in the morning. Um, I worked tonight and was there fairly late. I think I left around 10. Then I came home and just sat around for a minute and I was talking. I've been talking a lot today in my head, like nonstop. Um, or speaking, whatever the word is. And then I came in. I wasn't able to do my 40-day class for transformation this morning because my mom and I did a uh, community service project with some people from around town that I organized on Facebook to clean up just some trash, some litter from around town in a couple areas, which was really fun. So I feel really honored to have done that. And anyways, and then I thought, oh, so I've got to do that class, and I just finished, and so now I'm here doing this, and it's almost 1 in the morning. So I'm Jarrett Casey, Jarrett Earl Casey, and it's September 21st, 2020, but we're going to count this as September 20th video journal, and I apologize for not doing one last night, which is the night of the 19th. I just was really tired after work, so um oh no, or did I start doing one and then I don't remember. Anyways, whatever. All the days kind of blend together sometimes. But in any case, I'm very excited to be here, and I had a great day today at work. I it was busier than I expected it to be. I didn't really get to sit down and take a lunch or anything like that, which is not my favorite. Um, and then by the time I kind of remembered and came to, not that I was ever gone, but um, it was like 6 or 7 minutes till close, and so the kitchen usually starts shutting down early, and I knew they'd get upset if I ordered food, so I just ordered a children's or kids ice cream sundae, and that was my meal. And I still haven't eaten now that I've gotten home. Oh no, I had some cookies. We bought snacks for the Midville trash cleanup project, and there were some left over, so now I have cookies and some Chobani yogurt and some granola bars. I usually just have Kind bars, but these are more, chocolate chip and peanut butter chocolate chip and that kind of stuff. So, um, but yeah, so it was a good day. We talked a lot in my head about showing up, about the power of now, about the importance of following through and making commitments and keeping them, um, about showing up for Christ, about being who you are, about remembering who you are, about being the Christ you want to see in the world. Um, about taking leaps of faith, being honest, um, about being those perfect people, about the importance of service. Um, and first things first, although that doesn't mean that everything else falls to the wayside. Although, if we haven't addressed, what needs to come first, everything may seem to be diminished. Um, so it's hard when people are spending all their time, money, resources, energy, focus, awareness, efforts, and really pouring them into, everything that comes second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th down the list, but still haven't done what they need to do first. So all those things are still getting done, kind of, but not really, sort of. But not as they keep suffering. They're not maybe suffering, but the quality suffers, I guess. It's not perfect because they still haven't addressed that first thing. Um, and so we talked about first things first, and we can still do all those other things because we've already started them. And they may still seem to suffer, and I don't mean pain or suffering or despair or anything like that. I just mean they may seem diminished. Um, and I'm not talking about people either. Although a lot of people seem diminished right now. I feel like one of them all the time. Not all the time, but just quite frequently. Or I guess just right now. I don't know how to explain it with time being the way it is. But I'm just talking about the quality of the life that we've chosen to build here, the systems that we've made up. Um, our way of doing things. It all can seem fairly diminished. It's not up to spec. It's not up to standard. It's not perfect, and it's because we just have our priorities a little off. We haven't addressed, the elephant in the room, and that's, I think, choosing to live truly Christ principles um, and you know being choosing to be very helpful and choosing truth, choosing reality, choosing eternity, choosing God, choosing ourselves, choosing each other, choosing Jesus Christ, choosing the right, and choosing everyone, choosing everything, choosing the kingdom of heaven, choosing it all, right? It seems like we just kind of flounder in this world, struggling to stay afloat because we haven't chosen. I mean, so many of us have, but as a world, as a country, as a people, and I just mean mankind, Homo sapiens, we just haven't chosen correctly yet. And we will, because I feel like we already have somewhere through space and time. And we are safe at home with Heavenly Father in eternity. That's never changed. And so, in recognition of that fact that somewhere in space and time we've chosen correctly because it's inevitable. Heavenly Father wills it to be, and so it is. It's a done deal. It's already done. We just have to realize that, right? Oh, sorry. It's belly. um, and and so maybe by offering ourselves and each other a little charity, right, which is seeing past someone's seeming accomplishments through time in time or at a certain point in time as we so linearly view it, but looking past that to their actual accomplishments or who they really are, and then allowing them or giving them or sharing with them the benefits of that right now. So if we could offer ourselves and each other a little more charity, um, that might be really helpful. And hey, our terrestrial version of charity is very helpful too. We should be giving more. And if you don't give at all, just give a little. If you give a lot, give a little more, or don't. That's great. You already give a lot. It's perfect. You're already perfect. But maybe help others, encourage them. Don't require them to. Don't guilt them into doing it. But encourage them to, and they'll pick that up whenever they choose to. Um, or maybe they even won't, right? And we can still offer them charity too. Um, maybe they're in need of charity, right? Uh, maybe different people have different types of charity to give. Maybe we're so consumed by our limited understanding of what it means that we're obsessed with a certain form of charity or um, um, of charitable giving. And they're all yeses. They're all great. They're all perfect. As long as they're all yeses and they're all great and they're all perfect. So, we don't want anyone to come up with some cockeyed um, version of charity that hurts people or keeps them held down or punishes them. And so, we just got to keep that in alignment. Whenever we think of something, we've got to keep an open mind about it. We've got to kind of be curious about our existence and about the world we live in and the universe that so so joyfully gives us everything we need, and make sure that everything we come up with, or it just fits in that alignment. I always think of, like, if you're on EasyJet or Spirit Airlines or Frontier Airlines or something, they have those, or Allegiant even, I think. They have, they're pretty strict about baggage requirements. So they have that little, I mean, all the airlines have it. I've seen it at Delta and all those too, but the little box, right, that you can fit your carry-on in, it's specific dimensions, and if if it fits in, right, you can go in and out. You don't like pushing it in or anything. Although people do that too. It's like, I'm right there with you. Let me help. Let's get this thing in. But um, you put it in, you take it out, it fits, it's in alignment. You can have a spiritual version of that box. Decide, not decide, but you remember, you recognize, okay, you identify the different characteristics of being in perfect alignment with the Holy Spirit and with divine principles, eternal principles. Okay, you make a little box out of it, and you take whatever your idea is or whatever you're doing, and you just fit it in, make sure it's good, and you're good to go. And if it doesn't quite fit, you don't throw it out. You just kind of keep messing with it till it fits. It's okay. They're good ideas. They're perfect. Um, and we should do more of that. We should do more of that in this world. I think that'd be pretty cool. So, I got a haircut today too. Or wait, no, it was yesterday. Whatever. Wait. Whoa. It was actually the day before yesterday. But yeah, don't worry about it. So I got a haircut on the 19th. Um, and I'm very happy with it. It's a little cool, better than the one I normally get, I think. Um, so that was nice. I had a coupon. So it was only $11. Well, $10.99. Plus tax, of course, and the tip. So, and I probably should have tipped her more. I tipped her $7, but I look back, I'm like, maybe I should have tipped her a 10 or 11. But She was perfect. She was wonderful. It was a very enjoyable haircut. So, um, anyways, so that's you're up to speed now. Except I was a little curt in my just a little bit um in my conversations today, and I forgot the lesson from the day before where I'm supposed to only use my thoughts to bless everyone. And so I feel like I was still doing that. Okay, and I feel like that still came through somehow, but maybe my delivery was a little harsh, a little critical. And I don't mean any harm, or I just love you all so much. Not that you were listening, but if you were listening, I do apologize. You're so amazing. I just love everyone, and I'm just so ready for everyone to come together. And I hate this camera. We wrote on our class today, so this was cool. Lisa, she's so amazing. She had us the heck, I hate demo pads. I'm like, wait, the upside down, inside out. Okay, so it was about function and purpose. And she says, "You are the light of the world. This is your only function. This is why you're here." Oh wait, no, that was the other days. It happens all the time. Wait, which way am I going? Okay, here we go. I apologize. It's actually called Exposing Limiting Buried Beliefs. So she says, "I bless you with love." And she wanted us to write down the answers to a couple questions. If whatever, if there were no limitations or something, what would you love to do and what would you want to have? So I wrote all that down. Okay. And then I went back to the screen and it said, "Be as unspiritual as you can." And I went, "Oh, I should have read that first because most of what I just wrote down was spiritual." But okay, I'll make a second list. Oops. Should have followed the directions. Oh well. So I wrote a second list, and it still could be. You could still read spirituality into some of these things because we're just spiritual beings, and so it's just kind of who we are. But I tried to be as unspiritual as I could, and I think I did a good job. I mean, she said be really thorough, just write literally everything. But I'm like, it takes too much time. So I'm sure Heavenly Father will get the gist. So anyways, so before I read that second part where I was supposed to be as unspiritual as possible, I had written as what I would love to do. I would love to join with my brothers and sisters to heal the world and all lives within, on, and around it. I would love to welcome the entirety of my awareness and being into the eternal kingdom of heaven, along with all those I love, which is everyone. I would love to live a life of perfect, joyous abundance, blessing, wealth, creation, comfort, safety, and love. I would like to extend that life to all creation, big and small, young and old, new and older than dirt, and stuff like that. I would love to restore all relationships with and between my family and myself and others. Okay. And what would you love to have? I would love to have all dreams come true, meaning coming to truth, which is in perfect and which is with truth, which is perfect and complete alignment with, dependence on, existence in, and governed by the principles or laws of eternity, which are divine principles. I would love to have my natural inheritance, which is the kingdom of heaven. I would love to have all rights and freedoms restored. I would love to have a kind, loving, gentle, patient relationship I can raise a family in. And I would love to have people speak to me honestly, directly, and clearly for the rest of my life. So, and I'm sure there's more, right? But I mean, it's what I thought of in that moment. So don't limit me. um, and then for the unspiritual stuff, once I read that next line, I put travel the world, help people, uh, reconnect with my family and friends, receive my inheritance, benefit from, enjoy my inheritance, invest in people, buy simple, beautiful things, go to the moon, go to Mars, travel to additional star systems, serve a mission, attend a spiritual retreat. That's kind of spiritual, I guess. Go on a vacation, or just go on vacation. Maybe go on some vacations. uh, meet people I admire, take some classes, perfect my romantic language skills, and learn Farsi. I would like to learn Farsi. Things I'd like to have. I wrote them in this order: a car, a house, a new wardrobe, to fix my timepieces, to have a few new timepieces, a partner, a pixel book, a painting of Jesus, some new furniture, a woodworking or furniture restoration class, a library, a retreat house, a studio, an apartment, a dog, a kitten, a family, a personal trainer and or a fitness team, a healthy diet only food replicator. And then I had to go back up because there was more space up here, but I wrote a perfect, healthy, healed, healing, beautiful, restored body. And at the very top, because I forgot almost, I put money. But I guess I, that was already over here. But just in case. uh, so it's okay because I'm being as unspiritual as possible. So, and it's what she asked me to do. She said, "Just roll with it. Just work with me here." I'm like, "Okay, I can do this." And she's amazing. There's my cat. What's up? I swear they run around and chase things that aren't even there. Oh, just like all of you chasing money. Just kidding. You're not actually doing that. You're perfect. But money doesn't really exist. But people do. So don't forget that. Yeah. And money's not a bad thing. You don't have to chase it. But I understand that you do sometimes. And so you're forgiven. But just never forget that money doesn't exist and people do. It's very important. Uh, so, anyways. Yeah, so that was today. That was today. That's today in a nutshell. Um, you know, a little kinder than I remember. No, I was very kind today, but I did have my moments. Did I? Was that today? Was that yesterday? I don't know. When I work like this, all the days just kind of watercolor together. I'm gonna say bleed together, but I'm not saying that anymore. The days just kind of flow into one another. So it's hard to tell like which day was which or whatever. But anyways, the last couple days I've been a little critical, so I apologize. I love you all very much. You're perfect. Okay, so we're gonna finish. Sorry, got this really cute sprayer thing. So cute. And I bought it on Amazon. It's glass and then plastic. But it's a mister. Oh, for these plants. It's just so cute. I just had to get it. And I hear that they enjoy a little bit of mist every once in a while. You know. And I don't know if I'm doing a good job watering them. My spider plant looks like it could have been struggling a little bit. I don't know, but I think it looks better now. I don't know. I wish I could talk to them. Are you doing okay? What am I doing wrong? I had the cutest basil plant in like March. In March. So cute. He was so cute. I just loved him so much and he died. Oh, just down to the last leaf. I was like, how do I save it? But I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I just don't know what I was doing wrong. There were different instructions for how to water them. And I went to the hospital for one night and I came back and half of it was gone. Everything's perfect though. My passport was gone too that same night. Some other stuff. Shirt. Magnet letters and but there were no signs of forced entry, and the only one in here was my mom, she said. But she didn't take them. She was just trying to clean up my apartment. Oh, and some of my shirts were ripped. This really cute one with a tiger on it that I spent. Well, it was $50, but had a rip in it. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm glad I pissed someone off or whatever. It's perfect. It's okay. I just anyways, sorry. What how did I bring that up? What were we talking about? Oh, the basil plant. It's really heartbreaking. I tried playing him classical music and talking to him and touching him and uh, re re put him up in the windowsill. I'm over here. I was like, what how, how do I get you to live? Anyway, so these guys, well, that's a snake plant. So I hear they're really hardy. This is an umbrella plant. That's a Dracania or Dracana. That's a silk tree, but it's a ficus silk tree, and I just love silk trees too and ficus trees. And then that one, what is that one called? I have a spreadsheet. Let's see, it's called a staghorn fern, staghorn leghorn. Oh, and this is called a ponytail palm. Then I have some succulents, and then the spider plant. My roommate's sister donated all of it. Well, I bought the Dracana from someone off of KSL, I think, and then the ficus tree was just going to be thrown away in the garbage. It was out at the dump. Well, it's going to be out the dump. Like takes it, drags it in the house. Like perfect. I have a new plant. I'm very happy with it. So, all right. Okay. So, anyways, that's the Mister that made a noise when I was reaching for the A Course in Miracles book. So, the little Mister for plants. I love you. Oh, that's nice, I guess. So we're gonna just start because I literally didn't even get through the first paragraph. My mind was just struggling that day. So this is chapter 4, the illusions of the ego. It's already been 30 minutes. Section 5, the ego body illusion. All things work together for good. There are no exceptions except in the ego's judgment. The ego exerts maximal vigilance about what it permits into awareness. And this is not the way a balanced mind holds together. We'll talk about balance. The ego is thrown further off balance because it keeps its primary motivation from your awareness and raises control rather than sanity to predominance. The ego has every reason to do this according to the thought system which gave rise to it and which it serves. Sane judgment would inevitably judge against the ego. And must be obliterated by the ego in the interest of its self-preservation. So balance. My understanding of balance is some people say, oh, like kimchi. That's not what it's called. Yin yang. Thank you. So you have, some people see it visually. It's half black, half white, right? With the little switcheroo right there or whatever. And so they think, oh, for like to have light, you must have dark, or like for every positive, there is an equal and whatever negative reaction, or positive action, there is an equal negative reaction, or positive and negative, and matter and antimatter, and good and evil, or whatever. But okay, that you have to have like this perfect balance of each. So there's half and half, right? So if you were to think, it's like, okay, makes sense, right? We've been presented with these ideas for so long. We're like, yeah, that's how it is. I mean, whatever, like good thing we're on the good part, right? Good thing we're in the light. Oh, I'm so glad we're not in the dark. But they just make sense to people, and it's like, okay, well, take that concept and apply it to a person. Take the most well-balanced, the most balanced person you know, right? They just have their shit together, right? It's like they're just perfect. I mean, they're not, but they are. But if you ask them, they're like, "Oh, I'm not. I'm so far from perfect. I'm anything but perfect." It's like, no, you're perfect. You're perfect, and you know it. And I know what you mean. Okay, we all, we're all human, but you are perfect, and they're just so balanced. They can do all these things. You're like, are you a super person or something? How do you even do it? How do they do it? They're just so well balanced. And it's not like one day they have the best day ever, and the next day they're just like literally can't even get out of bed, or they're crying, or they're angry, or they're scared, and then the next day is the best day ever, and then the next day it's like, well, I mean, hey, you have a perfect day, you have the worst day, best day ever, worst day ever. It's like perfectly balanced. It's like the universe, right? It's just the way life is. It's like, no, they just are so wonderful every day. They're so perfect. And the universe is the exact same. Okay, God's perfect creation is the exact same. Okay, it's not like light and dark. Okay, it may look light and look dark, right? But it's perfectly balanced. I mean, it's perfect. It's all good, right? She just said, or I'm sorry, Jesus just said, all things work together for good. Okay, There are no exceptions. It's all good. Okay, creation is good. Okay, God saw, he looked upon it, he saw it was good. That's the and um yeah, so anyways, so and it's karma is much the same. And as we practice forgiveness and we relieve karma of the negative karmas, hey, don't worry about it. The universe goes from, so the minimum requirement is this 50-50 idea. That's like the minimum requirement that governs this universe. People are like, oh, the minimum requirement. Perfect. People here love only doing the minimum requirement. But in this case, doing more than minimum requirement is for your good. It's for everyone's good. It's all good. So if you're doing more than the minimum requirement, which is just, I don't know, just being unforgiving or eye for an eye, but like not even a good interpretation of what that means. Because it's like, I see you. I see you. um, but, you know, if it's punishment or revenge or anger or judgment or any of these things, right? It's I mean, I guess you can do that, right? I mean, that seems to govern this universe. It doesn't really, but sure seems to. So you can go with that. That's the minimum requirement, right? Because somewhere someone has it perfect. It's just not you. Sorry. Not today. Maybe next lifetime, right? And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a strange message. Where does that come from? um, but somehow they get away thinking they're doing the minimum requirement. It's just this really crazy uh, place to come from. I don't really know how else to say it, but um, as we practice forgiveness, every kindness, every forgiveness tips the universe a little bit in the favor of light. Not that darkness doesn't have to be dark. Okay, the deep sea ocean, the space, it's all darkness. It's dark, right? But it's not dark. Um, so every kindness, every forgiveness tips the universe a little bit in the favor of light or love. We'll say love, okay? And so we we do these things and we can just practice them every day. We just practice these little kindnesses, these forgivenesses. We just see each other truly as perfect children of God. We see the Christ within one another. We see the light within one another. We believe in one another. We go to one another. We extend a helping hand or a loving gesture, thought, word, look, hope, dream, wish, dollar. A dollar could be loving, right? Whatever it is, and and we just keep tilting the universe in favor of light, of love, of God, of each other, right? Of our, I mean, and and there it is, right? And then all of a sudden we hit that tipping point, and it's like, it's just all good. It's all love. It's perfect, right? So we get to do that. We're so blessed to be the people who get to do that. What a miracle! So that's what balance is about, and that's a balanced universe, a perfect one. Okay, where every reaction has a positive and equal to or magnified from positive reaction. This isn't a reaction, it's a response, it's an answer, right? So So there you have it. So anyways, that's balance. So I'm going to go to the next paragraph. A major source of the ego's off-balanced state is its lack of discrimination between the body and the thoughts of God. Thoughts of God are unacceptable to the ego because they clearly point to the non-existence of the ego itself. The ego, therefore, either distorts them or refuses to accept them. Sorry, I'm just listening to some funny stuff. All right. Because they clearly point to the non-existence of the ego itself. The ego, therefore, either distorts them or refuses to accept them. It cannot, however, make them cease to be. It therefore tries to conceal not only unacceptable body impulses, but also the thoughts of God, because both are threatening to it. Being concerned primarily with its own preservation in the face of threat, the ego perceives them as the same. By perceiving them as the same, the ego attempts to save itself from being swept away, as it surely would be in the presence of knowledge. Sorry. So what was coming up for me there? Okay. Sorry. One second. So unacceptable body impulses. I think this might be like twitches, or maybe some people would say like sexual urges, maybe. So your ego will try and conceal those. Although for some people, I mean, I have them every once in a while, but for some people, it just isn't there. I just don't really even have them. Anyways, it says it also tries to conceal the thoughts of God because both are threatening to it. Being concerned primarily with its own preservation in the face of threat, the ego perceives them as the same. So that's like a weird, because it sees them both as a threat. And then I guess some people, I don't know. I think someone said your results may vary, but it is saying basically it's okay. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. That's called human beings, right? There is so we're not sexual beings, and that's a common misunderstanding. They're like, oh, I'm a sexual being, or we're sexual beings. It's like, no, actually, we're not sexual beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and human beings have a sexual component to their existence and to their experience, but we're not sexual beings. So there is a difference. So please don't tell yourself or others over and over and over again, oh, we're sexual beings, or I'm a sexual being, or you're a sexual being. And it's like, no, because then people start to believe it and they start to try and become someone they aren't, which is like a sexual being, right? And that's just not who we are. It's not what we are. It's not how we were created to be. It's literally not who you are. It's not saying sex is bad. Sex is fine. It's totally fine. It's neither good nor bad. Okay. But you're not sexual beings. If that makes sense, you're spiritual beings. You're on a spiritual journey, and your spiritual path is the most important thing you'll ever have. It's more important than your body. It's more important than your sex. It's more important than your money. It's more important than well, not than the food that's in your belly, because that's part of your nourishment. But it's more important than the car you drive. It's more important than the clothes you're wearing, though you should wear clothes, right? That's also a basic human need. Some people are like, well, Adam and Eve didn't wear clothes, so I'm not going to either. It's like, okay, put some clothes on. You're taking some things very literally. Not that being naked is bad either. It's neither here nor there, but please put on some clothes. Okay. So, anyways, uh, so it the ego can doesn't always, but a lot of times it does. Even when you're going to the other extreme, you're like, oh wait, this is an unacceptable body urge. uh, you're concealing it in a different way because you're still saying, ooh, this is unacceptable. I'm going to be a rebel, so I'm going to do a whole bunch of it. I'm going to do it out in the open. I'm going to put it in your face. Um, because it's unacceptable, right? And so there's this struggle, but it's like it's not unacceptable. It's just fine to have sex, okay? You're not sexual beings. Someone just tried to say it again. You're spiritual beings. You're having a human experience, and humans have sex, and that's okay. Okay? But if you're taking the counterculture approach, it's okay. Neither one is anti. Thank you. Um, you're still in many ways, on some level, though you may not understand it, because you're not a sexual being. So don't blame it. I'm a sexual being. That's why I'm doing it. It's like, nope, that's not correct. You're a spiritual being. You're doing it because on some level it's unacceptable. Right? But it's not unacceptable to have those urges, or not urges, but impulses. Sorry, because they're of the body. Let's say urge, but um and so you're still responding to its unacceptability in your kind of like overcorrection for what you see as somebody judging a part of you as unacceptable. And they're judging a part of themselves, which they see as unacceptable too. So we have this impulse. Some people say, oh, this is unacceptable. They suppress it. These people, then they try to tell you, hey, this is unacceptable. You go, this isn't unacceptable. This is part of who I am. Right? And then they say, no, it's unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. So you start to overcorrect and you kind of develop this really strange relationship with your body or with sex or sexual impulses or any body impulse. So that can start to spread into other body impulses. I'm talking about sex. It's not always about sex. There might be some other body impulse that something similar happens with. But you start to get this tug of war between these two um, understandings of what it means that this is unacceptable. The only thing is, it's not unacceptable. It's perfectly natural when you're inhabiting a human body to have body impulses. You're in a body. You are not that body. You have body impulses. Now, as the world is brought into its right-mindedness or miracle-mindedness, the body will also be transformed, and the impulses it experiences may also be transformed. Now, that's not a threat, and you shouldn't be scared of that on either side. Okay? Well, these people are like, no, sex is too important to me. I don't want to lose that. They're like, no, sex is too important to us, maybe in a different way, right? That we can't have our understanding of sex challenged at all. Um, Now, when your body's transformed, it can happen in many different ways. Some people may never have sex again. Um, some people may still have sex very similarly to how they do now. I'm not saying on either side. Okay? There are people who have very perfectly normal, perfectly natural relationships with their body and with sex right now, here and now in this existence. And so those people may not experience any change in their relationship with sex. They may choose on some level to no longer have sex. But as the human body transforms on this next step, there will still be a sexual component. Okay. But I don't think anyone should look forward to having any giant orgies. And some people might be grieving that. They might get upset. They're like, nope, there will be. I know it. There has to be. I'm willing to raise hell if there isn't, or if you even suggest there won't be. Like, okay, well, you're going to have to somehow process your feelings around that. And that's okay. You're perfect. You're worth it. This is all worth it. Okay? It's all worth it. You're not sacrificing anything. I promise. You are gaining everything. And sex is very important, but it is not that important to raise hell over. It just isn't. And sex is beautiful. It's perfect. It's perfect for you. Okay? And it's important, right? But it's not that important. Nope. Someone tried to say there's a planet for that. Nope. I hate to break it to you. It's okay. So there are some people who simply will not accept that, or so it seems, or so they think. Nope, there's nothing wrong with sex. Sex is perfect. Okay. And as we heal our mind, okay, you'll just start to kind of understand what's really important is not of the body. Okay. But that doesn't mean that what's of the body is unacceptable. Okay. It's our relationship with it that can sometimes be unacceptable. So now that does, so I think some people might read into that they will no longer be allowed to, or they'll be looked down upon for having sex outside of the outside of what's called wedlock, which is the dumb phrase, and that's not the case. You can absolutely have sex, okay, as you choose. It's just your choices will change. Some people continue saying, no, they won't. No, they won't. It's like, yes, they will. Challenge accepted. It's like, okay, that's perfect. Just please don't raise hell. Okay, move forward with that understanding that your choice isn't going to change. You're going to have all the sex you want. and you want a lot of sex, right? But whatever, and just keep moving forward with the rest of the world in love, okay? And we'll just see. But when we say in love, it has to be caring, patient, gentle, okay? Because that's okay. Okay, well, some people, um, it has to be a part of love. So then, what I'm hearing now is there's people in like a fetish community or something that like it rough or something, and so I think that if you don't care to join in that one capacity, because you very much have the capacity to be gentle, loving, and caring in so much of your life, then that is a choice you can make. And you are not judged for that choice. It's your choice. Uh, as long as, of course, you're not hurting anybody, nothing's being done against anybody's will. And you're not taking anybody's choice away from them. And please know that as the mind heals and as the world heals, you will also be healed. You're also going to experience healing. And the desire for sex so good it hurts kind of stuff or whatever will also be healed. And you might remember what it's like to have a more loving, almost transcendent form of sex. And you won't crave that stuff anymore. It will no longer satisfy you. Indeed, it already doesn't, which is why so many people need so much of it. Or seem to need, because they don't actually need so much of it. It just doesn't satisfy them. Or it does, but not for very long. And so these aren't threatening things. These aren't threats. So it says, oh, well, then they're promises. Okay. They're just communications. And they're the ones that some people need to hear right now. And I think that they should be received calmly and peacefully and in the spirit of understanding that all of this is for you. And not only is that true, but it's by you. So you, your higher self, in conjunction with Heavenly Father and the Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ, all the ascended masters and the angels, the entire kingdom of heaven, okay, where you are from, which is your natural inheritance also, which is a place of perfect abundance and joy beyond your comprehension, a state of constant grace. Okay, where you currently are, you are also making this decision. And your way of life is not threatened, it is uplifted. Your choices are not taken from you, they are finally made yours. They are finally made your own. Okay, because you are one with God. And you still get to have sex. You just might finally learn what that really is. And that's that. So I've taken an hour of your time, and I didn't get through the second paragraph. Okay, but I will finish it. So it says, okay, so it said, sorry, being concerned primarily with its own preservation in the face of threat, the ego perceives them as the same. By perceiving them as the same, the ego attempts to save itself from being swept away, as it surely would be in the presence of knowledge. Any thought system that confuses God and the body must be insane. Yet this confusion is essential to the ego, which judges only in terms of threat or non-threat to itself. In one sense, the ego's fear of God is at least logical, since the idea of him does dispel the ego. But fear of the body, with which the ego identifies so closely, makes no sense at all. The body is the ego's home by its own election. It is the only identification with which the ego feels safe, since the body's vulnerability is its own best argument that you cannot be of God. This is the belief that the ego sponsors eagerly. Yet the ego hates the body because it cannot accept it as good enough to be its home. Here is where the mind actually becomes dazed. Becomes actually dazed, I apologize. Being told by the ego that it is really part of the body and that the body is its protector. The mind is also told that the body cannot protect it. Therefore, the mind asks, where can I go for protection? To which the ego replies, turn to me. The mind, and not without cause, reminds the ego that it has itself insisted that it is identified with the body. So there is no point in turning to it for protection. The ego has no real answer to this because there is none, but it does have a typical solution. It obliterates the question from the mind's awareness. Once out of awareness, the question can and does produce uneasiness, but it cannot be answered because it cannot be asked. This is the question that must be asked. Where can I go for protection? Seek and ye shall find does not mean that ye should seek blindly and desperately for something you would not recognize. Meaningful seeking is consciously undertaken, consciously organized, and consciously directed. The goal must be formulated clearly and kept in mind. Learning and wanting to learn are inseparable. You learn best when you believe what you are trying to learn is of value to you. However, not everything you may want to learn has lasting value. Indeed, many of the things you want to learn may be chosen because their value will not last. All right, indeed, many of the things you want to learn may be chosen because their value will not last. The ego thinks it is an advantage not to commit itself to anything that is eternal, because the eternal must come from God. Eternalness is the one function the ego has tried to develop, but has systematically failed to achieve. The ego compromises with the issue of the eternal, just as it does with all issues touching on the real question in any way. By becoming involved with tangential issues, it hopes to hide the real question and keep it out of mind. The ego's characteristic busyness with non-essentials is for precisely that purpose. Preoccupations with problems set up to be incapable of solution are favorite ego devices for impeding learning progress. In all these diversionary tactics, however, the one question that is never asked by those who pursue them is, what for? This is the question that you must learn to ask in connection with everything. What is the purpose? Whatever it is, it will direct your efforts automatically. When you make a decision of purpose, then you have made a decision about your future effort, a decision that will remain in effect unless you change your mind. So tomorrow we'll read section 6, which is the rewards of God. So thank you for listening. I'm so sorry it's been an hour and 6 minutes. I really appreciate you listening. I guess I should comment on that just slightly. So the ego has tried to trick the mind into no longer questioning it, or the body, although the mind constantly questions its body. Or its worthiness. And cat just went bathroom. Yeah. So I think it's very interesting here at the end where he speaks and says, as we go through our life and question, what for? What is the purpose? Right? Whatever it is, it will direct your efforts automatically. When you make a decision of purpose, then you have made a decision about your future effort, a decision that will remain in effect unless you change your mind. So when you look at something, especially something that you're building, making, trying to create, and you say, what is the purpose? It's a highest and best outcome for everyone, yourself included. If the answer to that, if the purpose that anything you build or make or you're trying to create comes from is love, is maybe protection, is holiness, is sure oneness, abundance, which you should look at these terms through heaven's eyes. Although much of that can still perfectly translate into a terrestrial or Earth's understandings, much of it. I wouldn't say most, and certainly not all. Well, all of that can. What I mean is all of Earth's understandings may not fit into the baggage, not baggage, but the carry-on dimensions. And so make sure that your purpose is true, that it might be upheld. And if there's something that's being done and you say, what is the purpose? And the purpose is destruction. The purpose is punishment, or the purpose is any other falsehood, you're choosing that for your future. And that will remain in effect until you change your mind. And so it's very important. These are crucial times in your development to really understand what purpose is, what your purpose is, who you are, and correctly maintain the spirit of truth and of love and of protection in every decision you make, especially anyone that has purpose, which they all do and should. And this may seem like a challenge, but it really is quite easy. And it's what you've been called here to do. It's who you are. And it will really bring you the bountiful gift of creation. And your current awareness will be brought into a limitless nature. And no longer will you be powerless. Not that you are now, although sometimes we can each feel that way. But know this, you are so powerful and so perfect and so loved and so loving. And I'm very proud of each and every single one of you. And I hope you have a wonderful night. And God bless you.